Hello, welcome to another devlog for my 2D space game. Good morning. We have this car inside the zone and we are free to manipulate it here. But this thing has power inside it. So if we were to try to delete this, then it's not gonna let us delete the battery because that's a resource and there's no storage to put it somewhere. The shapes themselves aren't worth any resources yet, so they're free to be deleted. But I've added this battery up here to the zone modules. So I want to make it so that any storage container connected to the zone modules will also automatically connect to any container inside the zone. So that for one, we would be able to transfer power between these. So that's one thing I want to get done. And also, when we delete this one, it should just automatically go into that container. I worked on this traverse connected method and added support for traversing the zone as well. And this one is now used to connect like modules together. For example, a gyroscope might pull power through a bunch of different shapes before it reaches the battery. And same with the thruster, it might not be directly connected to the fuel tank. So some convenience methods for that there. I've done a lot of changes that I'm not gonna go too deep into detail for. Now when we delete a shape before we try to delete it, we actually try to get rid of the resources in any storages. So I haven't implemented the volume limit yet, so they're going to be able to store infinitely for now. But this now lets us delete this car. This car has 1000 power. We have another battery up here, which is 500 power. And like we can delete the wheel fine. There's no power in the wheel. Then deleting the battery makes it so this battery up top now has 1500 power, which is perfect. And I've also updated the code for how we consume resources when we activate actions. For example, the gyroscope wheels, their action is to rotate, but that costs power. And we have 300 power left in the battery. This flow is now controlled by the pass-through defined in the content, and I moved that value to the modules. They used to live in the action, and one module per shape, and one module can have multiple actions. And now we define the pass-through in the module itself. So for example, we allow power pass-through through the batteries, so we can connect them right next to each other without pulling any extra cables or whatever. But this is like easy to change since this is the content level, and I've implemented this concept of a control resource. This is a built-in resource. This one determines if the active shape has access to the module. So for example, put on God mode here, move this car out, and we put in just a basic square. We attach it here. So that's gonna steal the joint for this left wheel. Let's delete the planet so we don't have gravity. And now, if we try and rotate, only the right one works. I'm actually relieved it worked first try. I didn't test this very thoroughly because there's no pass-through in the basic blocks. I want to figure out a way to define that as well in the content. Like maybe we do want something to be able to flow through the basic blocks, but maybe not. So this is pretty cool. Check it out. So we now have a basic storage here on the left. It has 150 iron in it. We have a pipe module here. Up there we have a basic battery with some power in it. We start with a car here, and we currently have focus on the zone, which is why it's lit up. If we focus the car instead, it dies down. Then we can drive the car, use up the onboard power there, and then let's create a gyroscope. Now that should have used up 10 iron. Just like that. So creating another one should take another 10, really good. But deleting them doesn't give the resources back. But this is pretty cool. So if we turn on God mode and we delete this pipe, and we turn off God mode again, then we can no longer create the gyroscopes because this is not attached to this anymore because there's no pass-through through the planet. I want to write the pass-throughs on each shape as well, so we see that. Because right now they look like this. For example, the zone modules, they actually let through everything now. So if I rerun this, and now I have focus on the zone module, I can actually drive the car, and yeah, now it stopped being in control. Got some exciting stuff to show you. So now we have on the left here a basic storage holding 150 iron. Currently gyroscopes are worth iron, or they cost iron to create. So now that one costs almost 100, and then that's subtracted from our storage there. And if I resize this, it's now worth only 26. You can see we got the iron back there. And if I increase it max, it stops because we run out of iron. If I delete it, we get it all back. Super cool. Let's delete these. And then, oh yes, I haven't gotten the filters implemented yet. So this can hold anything now. So it put the power there, but we have a battery up there as well. Let's create another gyroscope. We can make this a bit bigger now, up to 250. The price currently scales with mass, and mass scales exponentially because we treat every shape as if the area is a projected area of a sphere, regardless if it's a sphere shape or not. I think it's nice. It for one like makes planets have exponentially higher gravity, whatever. But that's why this wheel is not that much bigger than the initial max one. Let's turn on God mode, and we disconnect the pipe here. Turn off God mode. Now, yeah, this shape can't leave unless we're in God mode. Turn off God mode again. So now I can't delete this shape because there's nowhere to put the iron, because the battery does have a filter, so it only accepts power, and I can't even resize it. Then let's turn on God mode and connect this up again. Can fit it in here. There we go. And turn off God mode, and now we can resize again. We have access to this stuff. So this is really nice. But there's a bunch of stuff to clean up. Like I want to make it so the menu updates here when it's opened. I want to clean up this menu. We shouldn't have all these God mode options when we don't have God mode on. And I want to get the filters properly set up so we can control the flow of stuff. So here's our battery module, for example. It allows pass-through of control and power. That's why we can't put the iron into it. But then for the storage, we let anything pass through. And then I've set an input and output here for only iron, but that's not implemented yet. And I'm a bit on the fence about this design to have these three different ones, but I think it makes sense. So like even though for the storage, maybe we only want it to be able to receive iron and send out iron, but electricity or power should be able to flow through it to another module. For a gyroscope module, it might have an additional action that lets it store power, but then we could set only the input to power and output to blank, so that the energy can only flow into it, but it can't discharge. But implementing it means I'm gonna have to update all the traversing code and implement the concept of direction. Because currently, as we're only using pass-through, it doesn't matter if you go from the target or from the source module. I fixed the menus, so now that if we open up this storage and we resize the wheel, we can see the iron being updated directly there. And then the same for if we were to drive this car, you can see the power changing directly there. But that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching.